we've kind of talked about some of this, but what are some of your biggest challenges as a writer? So the things that you struggle with the most, and then how do you kind of deal with those things?
hmm I think one of the biggest things I struggle with as a writer is just maintaining a sense of um, maintaining the sense of confidence in writing and stuff like that. It can be kind of a fickle thing. Your motivation, um, your ability to keep writing and stay like incredibly passionate, like because creativity is a flow, and sometimes the flow just isn't happening. Sometimes you hit a dry spell. Sometimes you have writer's block for weeks. Um, but I think the thing that's really helped me with that is to step away and work on other projects. Sometimes I'll just go write a D&D adventure, and then that will create another flow of creativity that I can bring back to my writing. Or maybe I step into a different project like the novella that's coming out later this year, and allow that to kind of take your focus for a little bit while you're experiencing some difficulty in this one. So that's a big thing that I have, is like sometimes when writer's block hits, I get a little too down, a little too in my head about it. And then another thing too is just making sure that I maintain a healthy balance of stuff. I need to make sure that, yeah, I'm putting a lot of time and energy into this writing, but I also, I'm a person who has a life. I got to make sure that I'm not neglecting other aspects of my life, like my work or my personal relationships. Um, and so making sure that I have those balances is something that is challenging, but also it's important to do. And so I'm happy to, step away for a little bit if there's something that takes up more importance in my personal life. This is not a job for me, it's a hobby. And so if I need to step away, then of course this always takes a back seat and life will take a front seat.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that one's important of writing. I think more than a lot of creative fields because you're doing it so by yourself,
hmm
for the most part, especially early on, that it can be hard sometimes. Like I've found myself sometimes it's hard to sit down and take the time to do it because in your brain you're like, I should go do the dishes. I should go, my
hmm
job needs this from me. Or like it's hard to like make it a priority because it is so like, especially I think when you first start out, like I felt so silly about it too. I was
hmm
like, what do you mean I'm writing a book? Like that's ridiculous. So I think it can be really hard for people sometimes to like make it a priority, especially like if you're not making any money from it. Like you're not, those types of things can really mess with your brain, I think, about how you take the time to do it.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people will sometimes think, oh, this is just for me. This is, not contributing to society. It's not contributing to my job or my personal relationships or anything. But, you should have things for you. You
Hmm.
should have passions that are yours and yours alone. And sharing those passions with people shouldn't be a point of embarrassment or anything. I know right before this book came out, right before Pathlighter came out back in November, I had this overwhelming fear, like maybe a week before it was supposed to drop, with, oh my God, what if everyone hates it? You know,
Hmm.
it's that fear that a lot of people have when they're taking on creative projects that everyone can identify with and understand. And I think that that's something that keeps a lot of people from sharing their creative projects. Uh,
Hmm.
but I think it's also important for people to have stuff out there for them. Maybe you have model trains. Maybe you write books. Maybe you take up painting lessons or cooking lessons or something. But just because it doesn't serve like maybe even a broader audience, or maybe even if you don't publish at all, maybe you just, write and then you keep it on your Google Docs. That's still something that is important to you, and you should be proud to have something that is yours and is an outlet for you to express something that you won't be able to in your job, or
Hmm.
in other social situations or other social circles. um
Yeah.
so it's for you, it's fun and you like to do it, and there's no other reason for you to do it other than that.
Hmm. I had the same feeling when I started doing YouTube. I had this kind
hmm
of weird like, what if I tell people and they think it's stupid or create. There's always
Hmm.
that moment with any creative project where you have that like, what if I tell people and they
Hmm.
think it's ridiculous? And
Yeah.
to which now it's just like, well, who cares? That
Hmm.
again, it's like if you love what you're doing and you're just committed to doing it because you love it, then do it.
Hmm. One of the things that really helped with my inspiration of this performances of a death metal bard novella as well is when you would play music for your friends in the car, there was always this lingering fear that like when your friends heard your music, they'd be like, "Ugh, you listen to this?" or
Mhm.
something like that. And I mean, of course, death metal is maybe not the easiest genre to break into. Heavy metal in general, maybe some people listen to Metallica off and on, maybe some people like Iron Maiden, or maybe they'll break into some heavier stuff, or they like new metal like Slipknot or Limp Bizkit or something like that. But breaking into like the really like crunchy, heavy stuff,
Mhm.
it's not easy for people to consume or to, sometimes when you first listen to it, you don't really like understand the appeal or get it. And so that in of itself too, the fear of your friends like thinking it's ridiculous that you listen to a certain type of music also can be um, a challenge to overcome. And so to write a book about someone who plays this type of thing in a medieval setting, this
Mhm.
fantasy medieval setting, it was so freeing
Mhm.
to say, I love this music and I know that you would too if you listened to it.
Mhm. I've I've had many times where I like to listen to. I'm kind of a punk rock kid, like
Oh yeah.
Blink 182, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But I also really got into like screamo and Under Oath and all that.
Mm,
So I get a lot of the occasional. I pull up and my car's like blasting Under Oath
yeah.
or something, and then I get the kind of what do you got
Yeah.
going on in there?
Yeah. And you never forget to like, or you never remember to like turn the volume down before you shut the car off. So the next time you turn on the car and you turn on the radio, it's like, it blows your ears out or something.
Mhm.
Um,
That happens to me a lot with my wife. Like I'll be commuting and I'll be listening to something. I turn it off, and then my wife gets in the car, and it's like, blah, blah, she's like, "What are you listening to?" Yeah.
yeah, there's this one time I was at a stoplight and there was a there's this lady in like a suburban, or maybe she was in like some kind of big SUV type car, and she was blasting Kelly Clarkson, and I was playing like it was like either like Opeth or like Cannibal Corpse or something, was like some
Hmm.
really really heavy growls, and so we just kind of had like a little music battle. Like we would we turn up the music ever so slightly, try and one up each other,
That's
and the
awesome.
and the I mean it was just like a fun like maybe 10-15 second interaction, but
Yeah.
I don't know, it's art shouldn't be art shouldn't have like a expiration date. You can like anything from any era. You can like anything from any genre. It's whatever you find to be appealing.